Hi, welcome to Cubs and Culture for January 27th, 2018. I'm super tired, but I still want to keep doing these, so I'm walking home from work at the moment. So for once, we'll have a little bit of a actual video. Still, nothing has really happened with the Cubs. We're still sort of waiting on there's over 130 free agents still available, which is absurd for this time of year. Usually it's more like 20. By this point, we're less than 20 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting for spring break. Anyway, Darvish is the reason why I want him as a pitcher, besides him being a good pitcher, is Wrigley Field. Okay, so last year we had a record number of home runs, and there's some evidence that it's because of the balls being changed, but it's probably more that people, a lot of batters are trying to be power hitters and swing for the fences, and especially they're doing like an uppercut swing. And when Darvish is on, he gets a lot of strikeouts on his slider because it just bottoms out really fast and it's hard to see. So I think he would be, that's one reason why I think he would be a great fit, because he has the best K per 9 ratio in history. The other sort of thing is I think it's important. Wrigley Field can also be Wrigley Field as a field is very split-minded. It's very schizophrenic, and that someday, so the two highest scoring games, both of them 21 to 22 or 22 to 23, between the Cubs and the Phillies, those two teams were involved. Both of them happened on Wrigley Field because of the winds blowing out. It's a very hitter-friendly park. Now, most of the time, the wind's blowing in, so it's a very pitcher-friendly park. So someone like Darvish isn't, I feel would sort of thrive in Wrigley Field because of him being much more of a strikeout pitcher. The other sort of thing about pitching staff, and this is sort of my own personal theory about it, is I think it's important that a pitching staff has that every single pitcher has sort of a distinct profile. I think because you always play multiple games against each other team. Other than the only time you only play one game, excuse me, against an opponent is the wild card game. All the other times, it's it's at least 2 games. So this is something like the third time through the order penalty. If you run out, like, I don't care how good of a pitcher is, if you run out the same sort of pitcher every single game, eventually, and I don't mean just like left hand, right hand, and I'll give some examples from the Cubs in a moment once this car pass. But I think if you just keep running out the same sort of pitcher, or you build your staff with the same sort of general profile as a pitcher, it doesn't work as well. So, like, as much as it pains me to say this, Clayton Kershaw is probably currently the best regular season pitcher. I think if you cloned him 5 times, each of the clones' his numbers would suffer, because of it, batters just getting used to it. So on the Cubs, currently for the rotation, you have Hendricks, who I think is the best pitcher, and he's like a chess master. And he gets people out with guile, and he also is a sort of a pitch-to-contact guy. And then you have Quintana, who's, I think, the current second best pitcher. And he's sort of he knows what he's doing out there. He's really fun to watch. But he does, so he's not quite at the chess master that Hendricks is, but he has a little bit of zip on his fastball. So he's not really a power pitcher, and he's not really a finesse guy. He's sort of a nice blend between the two. Excuse me. Then you have Lester, who paints the corners, and he's sort of a pretty standard powered lefty, though he's on the decline because of his age. And then you have Chatwood, who I've not seen pitched, so I don't know what sort of profile he's had. So the point of the matter is, most of the pitching staff on the Cubs last year's sort of a high strikeout guy. And Quintana usually has league numbers. Hendricks, when he's really, really on, will have a average, but he's a pitch to contact pitcher. So, I think it's important for the Cubs that you get a pitcher like Darvish, who has sort of the strikeout as sort of his profile, as he is. Now, you might say, well, what about Arrieta? Arrieta has had a lot of strikeouts, and he's sort of a strikeout guy. The thing is, especially since Arrieta is very much a power pitcher, and just a little bit of funk in his crossfire delivery, is Arrieta is incredibly Jekyll and Hyde. He's been Jekyll and Hyde his entire career, both sort of in big phases. So, when he was with Baltimore, he struggled mightily, and then we got to the Cubs, he won the Cy Young, but there's times in which, because of his crossfire delivery and because of his cutter, there's times in which his mechanics causes him to lose just an inch or two of control for about 4 to 8 pitches, which can be a walk or 2 walks, and so he tends to so he can just be going fine, and then all of a sudden he'll get into a weird funk where he just loses control. And this has been even in the Cy Young year, this still would happen. It happened far less, which is probably why he was able to win the Cy Young. But the thing is, and why I'm not exactly committed to having Arrieta come back, is he's so Jekyll and Hyde that it's really hard. Every time he goes out, every single inning, you're wondering what Arrieta you're going to get. Are you going to get the Cy Young, or are you going to get the Baltimore? Okay, I really wish Darvish would sign with someone, because I think it would set loose the market. Let me pause for a sec.